What's up guys, welcome back to Hex. Now today we're building another supercomputer with this beautiful BeQuiet light-based 500LX case with an RTX 5090 and another couple of cool bits inside as well. So let's get into building this thing, and remember to always subscribe, like and comment what your favorite part of the build was. And yeah, let's get this thing cooking, let's go. So for our parts list, okay, we have a mighty Aorus 5090 here. We have an Aorus motherboard to go with it, the X870E. We have some BeQuiet stuff as well. We've got a BeQuiet AIO and we've got a BeQuiet light-based 500LX case. We have the Ryzen 9 9950X with 128 gigabytes of DDR5 from Crucial, 2 NVMe drives totaling a 6 terabyte capacity. And we've got an HX1200i power supply from Corsair. So let's get all this stuff opened up and let's put it all together as always. So we have already made a video about building in this case, okay, which you can find in the link above somewhere. So if you want to check out a more in-depth video of this case, head there and you can see that. So what I've done is I've taken all the panels off this case already. They're over here and they're all with clips instead of screws or any tools needing used or anything like that. So you can literally just pull it off like that, nice and simple. So let's take this off the table and let's get the motherboard ready to go in it. Okay, we have a Aorus X870 motherboard here. Let's get this opened up and have a first look at it. Okay, so nice packaging as always from Aorus. I have an Aorus board in my own PC, but it's all white, so it's a little bit different, and it's also a B650, so a lot different than what we have right here in front of us. Anyway, let's get this opened up. There we go. Okay, let's pop this on the box and let's get to fitting some components onto it. Okay, the first thing we shall install is our Ryzen 9 9950X. So let's get this bad boy unboxed and we'll put it in the socket. So we can now go ahead and install our RAM, which is 128 gigabytes of Crucial Pro. So let's get this popped in. So as I mentioned earlier, we have two 990 Pros. One's a 2 terabyte, one's a 4 terabyte. We're gonna put the 2 terabyte up top and put the second one down here. There we go. Easily pop it in here like so. And then a little clip goes over it and that's perfectly done. Remember, there's also thermal pads on this side as well, so I've just peeled that off just to make sure that it's not gonna, affect it in any way. And back down it goes. That's it nicely clicked in now. So that's our SSDs, processor and RAM now installed. Alright, so the next step is to pop the motherboard in the case. So we're just gonna lay it flat like this with the camera closer up so you can see what I'm doing, and we'll pop the motherboard in here. Okay, the motherboard goes in fairly easy in this case here. Just need to make sure these cables for the fan don't get clipped in the process. And there it is, nice and simple. Now the good thing about this case particularly is that the middle screw here is actually a spacer, so you don't screw anything in it, which in this case is actually really good because you don't have to take the heatsink off. I mean, not that it's difficult to take off anyways, but it's just a cool feature and it ensures that the motherboard's securely in and moving it about and it's not moving or sliding about, so that's good. So all we need to do is just put 3 here, 2 here and 3 here at the top. So let's get this screwed in and secured properly. Okay, now that the motherboard is secure in the case, we can now assemble the power supply and install it so that we can run the wires through it. Lastly, what we'll do after that is we will install the cooler and then the graphics card. So let's get that done. Okay, so we're using the HX1200i from Corsair. Big, massive brick. Really good power supply. I actually built on this power supply in the last video, so if you want to check that one out as well. That was a similar setup to this actually. It was a 5090 as well, but slightly different insides and a different case as well. I believe we used a Fractal North XL on the last video, so this is slightly different, a little bit more colourful as well than the last build, but equally as cool. Okay, in our bucket of cables, as I called it before, obviously we have all the leads that we need. So this will probably be the first one that we need, is a CPU one, right? So we'll need to plug that in, of course. Okay, now we pick what we put through what way, all right? So obviously we need to feed these cables through for the motherboard, for example, this one is. So now because we've got a bigger power supply than what we usually use, we need to kind of squeeze things through. It fits perfectly fine, but it's just a little bit more snug than it is with regular power supplies from Corsair, or any brand really. They're just a little bit more spacious, allow more space for wires to go through. But let's feed these through right now. So the motherboard cable right here, we can just go ahead and click that in right now actually. That's it, clicked in. What's interesting is that with this power supply, we have the cables looking quite nice here, whereas in the last video, even though it was the exact same power supply, I believe we had a little bit of a weird cluster of cables here. They weren't like straight like what it is here, if that makes sense. So it's a lot nicer to see this way, really, if I'm honest. Which is very strange. Again, as I say, it's the exact same power supply with the exact same cables. So, or it should be at least anyway. But yeah, it looks a lot neater this way. Okay, the next cable I have here is the CPU cable. We're gonna run it through this way here, behind a little plate, and over into the CPU socket. I will come back to this and clean this up, don't worry. You'll see the finished product of cable management later on in the video. Right now I'm just kind of placing things where I think they will be, and then we'll look at the actual finished product at the end. So CPU cable, I'm gonna go ahead and just plug this into this one here. And there's gonna be another one. So actually, I might actually Velcro these cables together so that they, minimize tangling up cables and stuff. Definitely it will be the play here. Okay, the last cable's in for the CPU. Nice and neat. Perfect. It's exactly what we want, exactly what we are wanting. Now, the next cable I have here is for the GPU. Now the GPU, we're gonna leave hanging just now because I don't yet know what the best path for the GPU cable is going to be. I do anticipate that will probably come out of this gap here rather than from the bottom, because I think that will be the neatest way really to do this. So we'll leave it the way it is just now, and we will worry about that when the GPU time comes. What we're going to do next is we're going to install the CPU cooler. So let's get onto that. Okay, so to match the case, I decided to go for the Pure Loop 3LX from BeQuiet as well. And it actually has the exact same fans that we have already in the case, and it's the same brand, and they are renowned for being quiet, as the name suggests. So we're going to install this into the case right now. So in the box we have the cooler. We have the block here. Take this off, let's have a look at the block. Lovely stuff, nice and simple. 2 cables, 1 power, 1 RGB, and obviously the copper block here. Lovely stuff. Now we have fans that we will need to install ourselves. They are the exact same fans as we have here in the case, and you can link them up with cables here as well, which is really simple and handy to have. We have some accessories, so like your brackets and even thermal paste, nice. And below here we have the radiator. Nice simple radiator, very nice. And the one thing that I'm really interested in, and the one thing that really caught me by surprise is BeQuiet has these little designs here, as you can see. So you can actually change designs of the AIO with these stickers here. So they come on and you can take them off and on, stuff like that. And you can actually put them on. Oh, that's upside down. Fuck's sake. So the main thing that I like about this AIO cooler is the fact that you have these sort of different masks for your cooler. for the RGB cooler. So you can have different designs and faces and all sorts of stuff with these stickers that you basically stick onto the block here to have a different design of whichever one you'd prefer. And it obviously glows RGB or whatever color you like, but I think that's quite cool. So you have, what's this? We have 10 different designs here, which is really, really cool. We'll test them out, we'll check them out when the computer's actually on. And lastly, we obviously have the little plastic glass thing that the stickers will go onto. Now, quite a cool thing that this AIO offers is these little inserts. I keep fucking doing this. Now, quite a cool thing that this AIO offers is these little inserts for block design. So you would put one of these inside the little, I don't know, plastic square that you would then put over the block lights, the RGB in here, and you can have different faces or different designs from BeQuiet here. I'm actually going to demonstrate it on the box here. On the back of it, it shows exactly what it looks like. So you can have any one of these 10 designs, which is, I think, pretty cool, to be honest with you. So we'll check that out when the computer's actually running. Okay, so I've got all the fans connected to one another, so we're going to now screw them in and connect them to this cable, which then obviously turns into a RGB and fan cable that we plug into the motherboard, or actually the RGB and fan controller at the back of the case, so as not to have excess cables inside the case here. So very cool, very brilliant, thought out. Let's get this screwed in. Okay, so the radiator will go in just like this. It fits perfectly fine, so that's cool. This will sit roughly around here. Now, as for the block, we will run it from the top like this, nice and neat. So this is how it's going to look as a finished product when I attach it on. So we need to now remove these bracket holders from the CPU and install these BeQuiet ones, which also tell us which direction they should be facing. The cool thing about AM5 sockets is that the back plate of it is actually like attached to the board, whereas in the AM4 motherboards, if you did this right now, the back plate would fall off from the back of the board when you take these little bracket holders out, which was a complete nuisance. So with the invention of AM5, honestly, it's such a nice thing to have these like screw holes not fall out completely, and you have to hold it from the back, and it's a whole thing. But anyway, we have these little standoffs, that is spacers, so that we can install the cooler properly. And then what happens is we put this bracket on the top one. This is the top bracket, and we screw it in with these screws here. Now, I sincerely hope that there's two mounting holes here. I'm sincerely hoping that I'm putting them through the right holes, because I have a slight problem with reading manuals. I never read them. Unless I'm properly stuck, then I'll read them. But other than that, I'll just use my own experience to kind of wing my way through, if that makes sense. Which usually is correct, so usually I don't have a problem with it. That's also on, so that's nice and solid now. Good stuff. Right, next, here we go, and that's the next one's in. It's actually quite a simple way of doing this, to be honest. There we go. Right, now what we can do is we can test the pump and see how it would actually fit. So it actually is going to go this way instead of this way, like I planned on doing it in the first place. So it's going to go this way. and we're just going to test out if that covers the processor in its entirety, which by the looks of it, it does. So yeah, again, my wing in it has been correct, because I can see that the base plate, the copper plate of this block, covers the entirety of the CPU with the way that I installed it, so that's ideal. So now what we need to do really is put some thermal paste on and install it onto it. So we're using the provided thermal paste that we got with the AIO kit, so all I do usually is just a nice straight line like this. And that is more than enough. That is actually perfectly, to be honest, but you guys will probably fight me in the comments over how much paste or the pattern or whatever that you want to do, but I've tested this pattern out before on many CPUs, even tried it and tested it with like a glass surface or a plastic surface, so I could see how it spreads on the CPU when pressed really hard onto it. And I gotta tell you that it spreads it really nicely all around the CPU, so there's not a problem with that at all. Now this right here is what people sometimes forget to do, myself included. You need to take this off, because otherwise the cooler's not going to do its job at all. Alright, let's pop this on before we get thermal paste all over the whole thing. So you kind of do it as tight as you can without forcing it, so you'll get to a point where it just won't really go anymore, and that's the point that you stop screwing it in. Anyways, that's us basically done with the installation of the AIO. Now we can move on to cable management with all these funky cables that come from the radiator and from the block itself. So let's get these fed through and clean up a little bit, and then we can actually probably install the graphics card in it. Okay, so as you can see, I've fed all the cables through the back here onto the top of the motherboard and hid them away through the little cable management holes. Now the only two cables that I couldn't really do anything with is these two cables from the block, the RGB and the pump cable, okay? So I had to feed it kind of as neatly as I could up to here and through the back and round to the header for the pump, which you can't see anyway. But this is the only two cables that you'll be able to see in regards to the whole cooling system here. So that's as clean as it's going to get in this case. And so now the next part is to install the GPU. But before we do that, I'm just quickly going to show you how I handle the cable management with the fans and what I did here in the back with the header, okay? So here's our fans, here's our RGB for the fans as well, and here's our RGB for, in fact this is the RGB, yeah, that's the RGB for the fans, that's the RGB for the pump, and that's the fans at the top, and the pump is plugged into the motherboard obviously. So that's what it looks like currently, but again we'll come back to this and clean this all up before we close the panel on it. Alright, so the next part is to get this big thing inside the case. Alright, so let's get it unboxed, see what it looks like, see what we're dealing with here. So first thing we have is we have a little layer with an Aorus envelope, which contains instructions, stickers and stuff like that, so that's pretty cool to have. Now the next layer of this box contains accessories to the graphics card, okay? So we have got a fan which goes on top of the graphic cards if you would like to choose to install it on top of it later on. We have some support brackets, we have some Aorus badges, and just a lot of other accessories. We've got cables here as well, and this is part of the support bracket here as well. So we'll take this out just now, and I would like to formally present the big dog, the main man, the big brick. Let me get rid of this box. There we are. The 5090 Aorus. massive. If I can just explain to you how much this weighs, honestly, this is seriously a big card. I have a 4090 in my own PC, and this is a lot bigger than that. So yeah, let's get this thrown in. Do you know what's crazy? I just realized something. Before we do any of this, I just realized right this moment, by looking at how bare this whole motherboard is, that I haven't plugged in any of the I/O cables. So like your USB Type-C, your power cable here, all that kind of stuff. I've completely forgotten about that, and all the excitement that we're doing right now has made me forget that. So let's get all this plugged in first, and we'll resume back to this chungus when we're done with that. So the cool thing about this card is that, and I didn't realize this, is that the bracket actually attaches to the back of it here. Instead of it standing freely, it actually attaches. So you put this together from the two parts. That's magnetic, that goes to the base of the case, and this screws into the side of the GPU here, which is actually a very cool thing to have, because it just prevents any sort of slip-ups or anything possibly going wrong with support on this thing, because it's attached directly to it. It's something I've never actually seen before, so I did have to look into the instruction manual for this particular situation, because obviously I didn't really know what is going on with this bracket. And I did actually think that this might have to go into the graphic card, but then I was like, surely not, like that surely can't be the design, but it apparently is, so that's cool. So the cable management side of things is done. I'm going to show you that very shortly after we insert this massive thing into it. All right, so let's get this graphic card put in, and now we can relax after that strenuous activity. So here we go, and it's in. There we go. That's what it looks like, finished product. That looks amazing. So the cool thing I've noticed is that the bracket isn't actually on the floor. So the sag isn't actually as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's not actually sagging much, but we are obviously going to lower that bracket down to the ground, or the base, should I say, of the case. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about here, because you can't really see it right now, but you'll be able to see it now. As you can see, that is floating in the air, along with obviously the GPU. But we're going to just lower that down right now. There we go, that's on the floor now. Lift it up a little bit to create a little bit of straightness, there we go. And just secure it. And that should sit nice and level now, and it's obviously got the support from the bottom of the foot here. So that is perfectly installed, I would say. Let's get it plugged in. Cool. Now, all I need to do now is just screw it into the side here to secure it properly. And that's it, basically. Then all we need to do is just show you the cable management at the back and start it up. Okay, so this is the current state of the cable management, all right? So we've got the I/O cables coming down here to the bottom, underneath this little bit between the gap, and it's all Velcroed here, so there's no cable ties involved in this at all. It's all Velcroed with the Velcro that comes with the case, but also my own that I've added here. I've tried to make it as neat as possible. There is a couple of loose things, lying about, but it's not a big deal. The CPU cables here, it's tied up, but it's loose in here, which is fine. The sheets, the side panel is going to go over it, and it's not going to be a big deal. Everything else is pretty much secured. It's all Velcroed together, so we're in. It's all good. So now now we just got to boot this up and see if it starts. So let's do that next. Okay guys, what we're going to do is now we're going to do the first boot up. Okay, so the power supply is ready to go. I've got a screen plugged into it here. And we can boot it up now, so let's do it. Okay, look at that looks class. I love the graphics card with the screen here. That is seriously cool. That is insanely cool. I believe you can put a GIF on it, you can put any graphics, temps, whatever you want, you can put on that screen there. So that is very cool. Okay, we have a CPU initialization here, which is what we're wanting. I'm going to restart and hopefully just boot into the BIOS. While it's doing that, I'm going to pick one of these. Oh, here we go. BIOS has been reset. Cool. There we go. For some reason, however, we're getting a... Oh, right, okay, I see why. Red dot from the boot, because obviously we don't have a Windows stick in it yet, which is fine. We'll sort that later on to install Windows on it. Now we're going to pick which one. I really like this gaming one here, so I'm going to go for that one. Now I believe this just goes in here somehow. Is it this way? What way does this, or does it go in there? Maybe it goes in here. Okay, that is cool. And then that goes over it. Okay, that is very cool. I like that. That is very cool. I like this AIO, I really do. This is very nice. Right guys, so we did it. We built it, and if you're stuck about to the end of the video, thank you so very much for watching. We really appreciate you. And just look at the thing. I mean, I just want to take it home. You know, it's just beautiful. And but obviously it's going to its new owner. And a massive shout out to Jamie for trusting Hex with his build. I hope he's really happy with it when he comes to pick up tomorrow. He knows the video is being made, so he'll be watching it, I'm sure. And yeah, guys, I mean, look, if you ever need a PC build and you're local to Edinburgh, or you want it sent anywhere, we can do that for you as well. But you can come and check out any builds in store at 14 Home Street, EH39LY, Edinburgh. And alternatively, you can just hit us up on Instagram or our website as well, which will be on the screen somewhere. But yeah, as I said before, like, comment and subscribe, and let me know what you think of the build and if you would do anything differently. But yeah, thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next one.